If you are a lawyer struggling to get your Google paid search ads to be profitable, stay tuned. I've got your solution. Hint, it's probably an issue with your landing page. Now, who am I and why should you listen to me? My name is Ryan Stewart. Last year alone, I helped over 72 law firms get their SEO and paid search dialed in to generate more leads profitably. And that's the key thing here is profits, because as we know, Google is still king for attorneys. It's the highest intent channel, which means people are literally going to Google and being like, hey, I got in a car accident, or I have a dispute with my business partner, I need an attorney's help. They're going to Google and they're saying, I have this problem, I need help with it. So the intent is incredibly high behind these searches. And lawyers know that, which has caused a lot of competition because Google is literally just a real estate game. There's only a certain amount of organic spots and a certain amount of paid spots. With organic, you're fighting for that against other law firms. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about just the paid element of it, because just like real estate here in South Florida, that keeps on going up. The more people that are buying, you think there's no end to it, but it just keeps on going up. It's the same thing with paid search. It keeps on going up. The costs of it, the economics of it are out of control because a lot of attorneys are bidding on those keywords because they know that they're going to drive leads for them. So what happens is you get stuck in this game where the economics of it get out of whack. When I say the economics of it, I mean you cannot change what the cost per click is. But what you can do is you can make tweaks to make people more enticed, right, to take more actions and then lower your cost per lead. And that's why your landing page is so important, because if you're just sending traffic to your homepage, and this is tip number one, why your paid search ads aren't working with your landing pages, is if you're sending traffic just to your homepage, what happens is they go to that landing page and there's a million different things that can happen and it fractures that attention. There's videos, there's external links, there's blog posts, there's all sorts of noise on that page that's distracting from what you need, which is a lead. So what happens is that you're sending traffic to it and every single click matters. We need to optimize it to reduce the amount of external actions that people take and increase the amount of leads that are generated from it. And it's a simple equation, right? If you cannot change the cost per click, that's static. Let's say you're going to pay $100 for that click, right? If you traditionally need 10 clicks, you're paying $1,000 per lead. If we can take that to 9 clicks, then you're reducing your cost to $900. And if we can keep reducing the amount or keep increasing the amount of leads that are generated off of that page, then your cost per lead is going to keep going down. And your landing page is a key part of that process. And again, tip number one is sending them to your homepage is not going to work. You need to design a custom landing page to send them to, even if that means at the simplest level, you just make a carbon copy of your homepage and start there. But you want to be continuously optimizing and testing and tweaking your landing page, because the better you can get it to perform, the lower your cost per lead is, because again, you cannot control things outside of your control, which means the amount of people that are bidding on those keywords and the cost per click. That's stagnant, that's set in stone. We can't change that unless there's less advertisers there. But what we can do is we can make your landing page more enticing to increase the actions taken on it, which will in turn decrease your cost per lead and ultimately decrease your cost per client as well. So let's look at a few landing pages here inside of our platform. This is a platform called Figma. You can see as I zoom out, we've designed hundreds of landing pages here for clients. And we've tested this all too. That's kind of what's so beautiful about it, is we have so much data on what works and what doesn't work. And let me start here by just telling you this. The most important thing is what happens, what's called above the fold, right? We have data that shows, we track all this, that people come to the landing page and very rarely do they scroll down and take action after that. If they're scrolling down, they're probably just browsing, but a large majority of the action takes place above the fold. That means you want to focus all of your attention on this section here, basically the header, right? So what we've learned from testing this layout here, which a lot of standard paid search landing pages have this, they have a form here, is that we have learned the hard way that forms are not the appropriate thing to put on a landing page. And here's why. Because let's say you get 100 quote unquote form submission leads on your landing page. What happens is there's a decay on that lead. As soon as somebody submits that form, they're going back to their business. They probably submitted 5 other forms. If you don't call them within 5 minutes of submitting that form, which I get it's hard to do, there's a decay on it. So if you get 100 form submissions, we see an average of only that turning into 50 contacts with that person. And again, that doesn't mean that they're a lead, those are contacts. So right off rip, your cost per lead is essentially doubling, right, by using form submission. So what we've tested a lot is different layouts here, right? So here's a mobile layout, right? So point two is remove forms. Point three is the only thing that matters is mobile because 90% of clicks are coming from mobile. And we really want to hyper focus on this. So let me show you an alternate layout here that we tested with this old client that worked a lot better. So you can see here what we've done here above the fold is we've really cleaned up a lot of things. One is we've reduced the amount of noise here, right? And we try and communicate a lot of things above the fold that are critical to that helping that person make a decision about calling this number. So one, you can see we removed the form, right? No forms here. This is a straight click to call ad, especially on mobile. Again, they're on their phones. Everything is right in front of them on that one screen, AKA above the fold. They don't have to scroll. Everything they need to make a decision is right there in front of your face. Two is we reduce the amount of text here and we try to truncate it into short copy that satisfies the intent of what we believe is behind that search, right? So all of my points are kind of bleeding in here, right? But part of this point here is to focus on outcome-based copy, right? Copy meaning the text that you put on the page. Outcome-based copy is trying to dig into the intent behind the search, which means we also, another point is we have to make sure that we're customizing that landing page to the search. So I see this a lot. A lot of attorneys are running very generic ads to very generic messaging, being like, I'm a business lawyer, right? I help with all sorts of things, contract disputes, LLC setup, commercial litigation. Those are all different searches. So at the front end, people are searching for all these different things, but Google's lumping you all in at the business lawyer level and sending all those very specific searches to a very generic landing page. So you want to make sure that the copy, one, is mapped at the keyword level to the search. You can do this with dynamic insertion on landing pages, or you can just set up a bunch of different landing pages using software to map this. So you can see here too, this one here was focused on setting up an S Corp, right? We learned the hard way that that was not a good term, but business partner disputes was something that we learned is a good sense for an attorney. So this is another learning too, is just understanding the keyword data from what's happening. But if you set up an S Corp, right, and try and compete on that term, you're competing against like business Zoom and Swift filings. You're competing against software that people are just opting into. You don't really need an attorney for that anymore. Sorry, business attorneys. But what you want to understand is the intent behind the search and saying, okay, within the scope of business law, right? Instead of taking a generic approach and just saying, hey, Google, anything in the business law space, use your AI and we want to bid on that. We're interested in it. And sending it to a generic landing page like, hey, I'm a business lawyer. You have to be very specific, right? And that also means setting up negative keyword lists, another big tip here, to X out the keywords that are not important or not going to drive value. So again, learning and testing this over many years, we've learned with business lawyers that like LLC formation is a bad keyword because you don't need a lawyer for it. So like you're spending all this budget, wasting this money, which ultimately is raising your cost per lead and your cost per acquisition because you're spending money on keywords that don't ultimately drive value to what you need. So a large part of the strategy is actually reducing your spend and taking a much more horizontal approach. A vertical approach would be saying, hey, Google, I'm a business lawyer. Anything in this scope I'm interested in. That's a very deep vertical approach. A very horizontal approach is really spreading it thin and saying, okay, I need to understand the exact keywords that people are really looking for an attorney for based on this search. And you set up negative keyword lists to cross off those keywords that are not of value to that search, right? And then you go very hyper specific on those keywords. So if we say, okay, dispute with business partner, that's very, very, very much so. Like you need an attorney for that. You're not going to use Swift filings to handle that out. So that's one keyword bucket that we definitely want to focus on. We need to now build a landing page experience that maps directly to that and speaks directly to that. Because again, going after the business partner dispute keyword and then trying to map it to a business lawyer landing page, you're losing attention, right? Yeah, will it work? Yeah, absolutely. You get some phone calls, but you want it to be hyper specific. This is how you operate in the margins. This is how you get your economics to work. It's really focusing on the details here and focusing on the keywords that are going to drive business value and then creating the right landing page experience that continues that conversation, right? Otherwise, again, you're going to send people to that page and it's not going to map. And again, going back to the example of 10 leads, if you get 100 clicks and you get 10 leads versus 11 leads versus 12 leads, incrementally increasing that by focusing on the details is how you're going to reduce your cost per lead, which is going to reduce your cost per client, which is going to make you profitable on these ads, which is going to allow you to scale. Otherwise, you're going to be underwater, breaking even. You're going to be blaming the agency, and maybe you should because they're probably taking the wrong approach. But within that, the copy on the landing page, you want it to hyper focus on making sure that it's mapping to the exact keyword that you're bidding on. So we wouldn't want to run business lawyer keywords to this landing page. We'd only want to run dispute with business partner keywords to this landing page. And then we want to make sure that all of these sub bullets here, one, they're easy to read. Two, they all take place above the fold without scrolling. Three, they map to the problem and any sort of other fears and anxieties and outcomes that this person is looking for. So resolution of complex disputes, protection from future, custom, and then free consultation, right? We're going to talk about the free consultation in a second because it varies from attorney to attorney. But then you can also see down here too, we would clean this up. We would put in the exact number of Google reviews, a little bit of social proof here, right? Now, the reason why we use Google reviews is because they're kind of widely recognized in the market as the most validated one, right? They're not easy to get. We know that they're not fake. I don't like putting nameless and faceless testimonials on here. I see that a lot, and it's like, I don't care. And they're actually on this landing page, but we've removed them. Let me just show you real quick. Like this, like I remove this from all of our landing pages now because, like, for what? Like, who is Kevin Erickson? And it holds no weight, right? But if we have a platform that people recognize, right, and we're pulling actual Google reviews with a name and a face, then it's a little bit more. So this is just kind of validating. Again, we usually put in like 365 verified Google reviews, or the Google verified logo here instead. So again, this is just kind of a mock-up that we use. And then of course, you see here prominent the click to call phone number, right? So this is the action that we want people to take off of the back of the free consultation offer. Now, what's important to note here is we see this a lot with criminal defense. We see this a lot with business attorneys. You kind of have to make a free consultation offer from the paid search ads, because otherwise it's really hard to take somebody from cold, right, not having a conversation with you, to be like, hey, it's $500 for a consult. The ads are just not going to convert very well. But what you have to do is you have to offer a free consultation, but then sell them into an attorney consultation on the phone. Because one, okay, we're removing form submissions off rip, right? And you might be saying, well, if I remove form submissions, I'm going to go from 100 leads to 75 leads. Great, because with form submissions, you might have had 100 submissions, but only got in contact with 50. So right away, you're increasing that by 25, because not everyone wants to talk on the phone, right? And we'll talk more about another option that you can do in a second. But you want to drive people to the phone, because the whole point of a form submission or even a live chat is to get somebody on a phone call, right? So why are we adding an additional step in there? Just put them on the phone. Get them on the phone as quickly as possible. The quality of the quality of the conversation is going to be better, and it's also going to reduce your intake team's time from chasing people down. The decay is it's nuts, right? You're gonna burn out your intake team if you're scaling paid search. You have 1,000 form submissions a month, and they're chasing down 500 of them. It's a waste, right? Even all the automation sequences, it doesn't work. Get them on the phone, have a conversation with them. On that conversation, you want to qualify them and then sell them into a consultation with an attorney. That's a paid consultation, because otherwise, we've been doing this long enough. I can tell you what the numbers look like. Let's say you're running a standard paid search campaign with form submissions, and then you're a business attorney or you're a criminal defense attorney. You get 100 form submissions, you get 50 people on those calls, you get 20 booked with an attorney, and you get 4 people showing up to the calls per attorney, right? So when we talk about cost per lead, this is where agencies are gonna smidge the data. They're gonna be like, yeah, we got 100 leads for you this month. Like, no, you didn't get 100 leads, you got 4 leads. A lead is qualified as a conversation with an attorney. That's the actual lead that you're driving towards. Everything else is just freaking noise and fodder in front of it. So you want to reduce all those steps and make it stickier. So sometimes it feels like you're going to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, like a paid consultation. You have to charge for them, because otherwise you're booking 20 calls with an attorney, but only 4 people are showing up. You're getting a 25% show up rate. If you're getting people to pay for it, you might only book 10 paid, but you're going to get 10 people to show up, right? So you have to optimize for, I call it, for the long click, right? You have to optimize for the full process, the full acquisition cycle, not just the front end. And this is also messing with your Google ads, because you're telling Google you're optimizing for a form submission, but only 4% of those people are actually turning into leads. So you're sending the wrong data to these platforms. On Facebook too, you're giving it the wrong KPI to measure against, that this is what you're looking for, but ultimately it's not. That's not what you're looking for. So again, above the fold matters, outcome-based copy, mobile only, click to call. You can also put like a text now on there too, but again, a text message or a live chat is still driving to get somebody back on the phone. You get the added benefit, if you will, of giving them another option, right? If they don't want to get on the phone and call, that's fine. But like, if they don't want to call you, they're probably not ready, because they're not ready to have a conversation. They're just going to waste your time. And 2, you have to get them on the phone at some point anyways. So like, stop taking shortcuts to try and boost your front end conversions, when in reality, what matters is that actual phone conversation. All right, so this was a crash course on paid search ads, all about the landing page, how to optimize your landing page. If your law firm needs help with this stuff, I would love to have a conversation with you about it. There's a link below. It will take you directly to my calendar. You'll talk to me. I will talk to you about your marketing, about your advertising. You can talk to me about how bad your agency's doing. Part-time therapist with my law firm clients, I'm here for it. So hit the link below. I look forward to chatting. If not, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these 2 videos right here on this screen.